The myth of the self-made genius. Edison did not invent the light bulb alone. If you ever go to a movie and you see the credits, those credits go on for miles. There are so many people involved that make that movie come to life. And now you have to watch them because there's always an Easter egg scene after the credits, which is very smart. But directors need screenwriters, camera operators, editors to make this all possible. Bottom line is, success is never solo, even if it looks like it is. And we need to stop romanticizing the lone wolf, right? It's just not how things work. So the bottom line, stop trying to figure it out alone. Borrow genius, accelerate success, and think about one skill that you wish you could learn faster.
I love collaborating with them. I love learning from them. They have this team approach to everything in my life.
And I'll tell you how.
Take it like this.
You can't know everything, and here's why. Modern life, in today's world, life requires expertise in careers, relationships, health, parenting, and finances, and many more areas, right? The bottom line is you just can't be an expert in every area, right? You can't know everything. Your bandwidth is limited, so trying to learn everything yourself is going to be slow, arduous, and lonely. Google versus real experts. Another thing that Sourena wants you to think about is, listen, you can Google anything, right? But can Google give you accurate feedback? And we know how important feedback is for our success. AI can inform you, but can it actually mentor you? There is a difference between real experts, Google, AI, and all of those tools. By the way, both very important, right? There's a place for all of those tools. They're really helpful and probably part of your goals and part of your career path. However, there is a difference. There's decades of real world experience, customized advice, accountability when it comes to real experts. And interacting with an expert isn't just information, it becomes transformation. So how do you tap into expertise? Well, Sourena will tell you this. It starts by defining your goal, your health, your wealth, your relationships, right? And then you're going to acknowledge gaps, right? We're all going to have knowledge gaps, and you got to figure out what those are, and you've got to accept them as part of your reality. Throughout the process, it's also important to stay open-minded, right? You want to let other people's wisdoms help change your approach. So stay open-minded and ask questions like crazy. Be an absolute sponge. That is one thing that Sourena is so incredibly great at, and one of the reasons he's been so successful. I'll never forget the first time Sourena and I went to an event and heard a speaker, and when it was over, we clapped, and I thought it was very good, and I started to leave, and Sorena's like, "Where are you going?" This is where we go talk to the speaker, network, connect with them on LinkedIn. So Sorena's always been a sponge. So he will challenge you, go out there and just ask questions like crazy, because most people, they do want to help you. Successful people do want to give you advice, right? And then take action on those things, because while advice and knowledge and feedback is great, action is where the magic really happens. So this might be going and finding a mentor, a coach, a therapist, a trainer, experts in their field to help you. Why Sourena invests in experts? It's kind of ironic because Sourena is the expert, right? He's putting out this great content. He's coaching and inspiring all sorts of people and giving them guidance, but he still invests in experts. He did it throughout college and throughout his career. He's always had mentors. He has mentors to this day. He invested in really high-end coaching to make him better at what he did, right? It'd be very cool and romantic to say Sourena was a self-made dude. And by the way, Sorena's worked very hard, but he's had help. He's had the right experts, because what experts can do is they help you uncover your blind spots, right? Sometimes you can't see it. That's why they call it a blind spot, right? But they help you uncover those. And the result of that is you improve your habits, your processes, your mindset, and ultimately get more results, right? Because remember, you can't read a label from inside the jar. Time equation. It takes decades to develop mastery in just one area, but you can compress that learning curve by borrowing expertise, right? They always hear the saying, why reinvent the wheel? And it makes a lot of sense, right? Sometimes I think we're hesitant because is this worth the investment? We're all trying to be financially sound and make the right decisions. However, a business coach can save you 5 years of time, money, energy, effort, and disappointment and difficulties because they've been there. So sometimes we think, oh, this is just an expense. No, this is something that has a huge return on investment if you get the right person to help you, right? So why spend 10 years trying to learn something on your own just because you could say I did this on my own, when you could leverage somebody who's been doing this for 20, 30, even 40 years that can get you there that much faster. Stop being self-made. Independence is overrated. As kids, we want to do everything ourselves, right? And that's part of growing up, but that's just ego. That's just what we think we want. As adults, sometimes we stay in that mindset and then you end up stuck, right? So we've got to change that mindset. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Think about that for a second. Asking for help isn't weakness, it is wisdom. The most successful people ask for help all the time, and they ask for it quickly. They don't dwell and think about it and then finally eventually cave. They just, as soon as they feel like they might be a little stuck or need something or have to learn something, they ask for help immediately. That is wisdom. That is strength, right? And nobody cares how much you learn from others. They only care about your results. So no one's ever going to say, well, you learned that from someone else. Yes, everybody learns things from other people. Action plan. First, ask yourself a few questions. What is one area that you're struggling in? Okay. And then, who do you know that's mastered this area that you're struggling in? And then, how do I contact them? How do I reach out and learn from this person? Right? Example, if you want to take better care of your health, you're going to go find a personal trainer who knows what they're doing. If you want to grow your business, you're going to go out there and find a business coach like Sourena who's going to help you grow that business. Or if you're struggling in relationships, you go out there and you find a therapist who knows what they're doing and has that experience that you're borrowing so you can improve those relationships.